Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game. And today we're going to be reviewing South Park Rally for the N64.
Originally released to the PlayStation in 1999, this was eventually ported to Windows, N64, and the Dreamcast in 2000. We're playing the N64 version because, well, it was the easiest and cheapest version to find. Anyway, it was developed by Tantalus Interactive and published by Acclaim. This is actually the third South Park game to be released back then, so it's a kart racing game. Does it hold up to the others? Let's get into it.
Looking at the graphics of this game, let's just get something out of the way right away, and we're starting with the graphics. Yes, obviously this is a reskin of Mario Kart 64. With that being said, it adds its South Park flair, and there's a lot of things to actually enjoy seeing, if that makes any sense. But take a look at this. Even down to the arrows pointing and the blocks, it just doesn't look that good. I mean, the color scheme is really, I don't want to say monochrome, but it's just, there's not a whole lot of detail thrown in there. Now, in all fairness, the early South Park episodes and seasons, they weren't animated that well. With that being said, the detail on the sprites under each unique car, we found some amusement in that. So as you see from our scores, we both gave it a 5. I'm going to add one beer just because I feel like if they put a little more time into maybe some shading or just making some of the other cars or other things you're driving by look better, it could have been pulled off much better. I don't know how else to put that.
Alright, the sound. It's actually not too bad. Now, it suffers the same problem as the first-person shooter South Park game, in that while all the characters do have sayings that they have during the course of the game, it gets repeated way too often, and there isn't enough of it. The mayor actually introduces every level and all the different objectives, and the dialogue in that can be pretty funny. Though, once you've played through them a few times, you kind of get sick of it. Also, the music, I gotta say the music surprised me. It's a lot better than I thought. It might not be the most memorable thing in the world, but it's fun, it's upbeat. I mean, they all really keep the South Park sound, but they made it more racer appropriate. It actually keeps you wanting to play. Overall, we both gave it 6s. It's slightly above average, but you know what? It gets the job done and it takes nothing away from the game. Beer-wise, I guess I'll add a beer just for all the damn repeated sayings.
Alright, talking about the control, and I can't wait to see the comments for this. Once again, this is a game that people blast about the control, because I think they're holding it right next to that, Mario Kart 64 standard. But Jim and I didn't have any problems with it. The only area we could see where people really hate is the power slide. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I know this may be important to some other kart racers.
Like me!
Yes, like Jim. Because the only goddamn game he played as a child was Mario Kart 64. Anyway, I could give two shits less about the power slide option. I just worry, does it control well when you're trying to turn? Does it brake? Does the gas work? Does shooting your powers or special abilities, does all that work? And yeah, it worked fine. Maybe the power abilities for me were my biggest complaint, and that's why you'll see I didn't give it a perfect score, but other than that, I was actually fine with it. I think the biggest issue people have with this game is actually going to be in the gameplay, and they tend to confuse that with how the game controls, because as Jim will mention, the gameplay is different from other kart racers. With that being said, I actually gave it an 8, Jim gave it a 7. Might have a lot of issues with this game, but control really wasn't one of them. So I'm not even going to add a beer.
The gameplay. This game takes a really different approach than a lot of other kart racers that I've played. So instead of being a straight up race where you go from the start to the finish and the first one to get there after laps, blah blah blah, this game actually goes for more objective based gameplay. So at its simplest core, there's checkpoints where you have to go all around the map, and there's different ways of getting there actually. And you just have to go in sequential order through the checkpoints. It's different, it's fun. I don't really think a lot of the items are really that great, and 2/3 of them I think are more traps than anything. They work okay. The biggest problem comes in the later games. For example, the second race. Basically in that one, you have to pick up a trophy and take that trophy to the last checkpoint after going through all the others. That's fine and all, but you can lose the trophy as soon as you get nudged by another racer. So, say you're playing through the whole level, you're winning the whole time, and then you get hit by a hazard in the street. Then someone hits you, they grab the trophy, they run through the checkpoint, and you lose. That's annoying as hell. And there's no first, second, third place pointage. You either win the race completely or you don't. In championship mode, you have 5 credits of life. And every time you lose, you use up a credit to keep going. That's fine, and there are more credits that can be found in the levels, but they can also get chewed up pretty quick. And there's such a random luck element to these different missions that one playthrough you'll blast through certain levels. The next playthrough you'll be done by level 3 because for whatever reason you just can't get past it. The enemy AI can be pretty brutal too, because if you're the guy with an item in a single item gameplay, they are going to hound the living hell out of you. Now, granted, that's on you to get by, but sometimes getting these objectives back is a nightmare. And some of these really take time to play through a couple times and learn the different tricks to each race, which is kind of good. Besides that, okay.
Fucking wrap it up!
Alright. We both gave it 6s. It's fun, it's a different take, but it could have been done a little better if it was a little more, I guess I'll say, fair. And beer-wise, I'll give it, you know what? I'll give it 3 beers for all the different gameplay options.
Once again, Jim basically pointed out everything I was going to say in originality, but this is a different take on kart racing, which by this point there was plenty of clones of Mario Kart. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's just a fact. I actually enjoy the method of not having a linear race because I kind of feel like you're always in it if you don't have just a linear path. I know Jim argues that Mario Kart is as balanced as anything because the last place guy gets the best power-ups and yada yada yada, but I find if you're in last place in Mario Kart, your chances of coming forward, unless you get a major streak of luck, it's not there. Whereas in this game, I feel like you almost always had a chance. Putting that aside, the other objective-based game modes in this game, we hadn't really seen before. With that being said, I gave it a 7, Jim gave it an 8. He had more experience with this game, so I trust more in his score than mine. I'm not even going to add a beer. I'm actually shocked this game added that much to kart racers.
Replayability. Well, right off the bat, you have the multiplayer mode. So, that automatically gives it a lot of points. But there's so much to unlock in this game. You have to keep playing it again and again to get the hang of the single player so you can unlock everything in multiplayer, which means unlocking all the different race types, all the different levels, and all the characters. And certain things only get unlocked under certain conditions, so you're going to have to play a lot in order to get that sometimes. Also, multiplayer throws in the ass battle, which is like the balloon battle in Mario Kart, but with asses. And butts are funny. Aha! Anyway, we gave it 9s. There's a ton of content here, nothing to complain about, no beers required.
So overall, this is becoming a reoccurring theme with these South Park games. Everyone hated the shit out of this game, but Jim and I found a lot of fun with it. It's not as good as Mario Kart 64, but it offered enough new ideas and enough unlockables to keep you coming back. I'm just going to mirror what I said before for the South Park first-person shooter on N64. If you're a South Park fan, you'll appreciate this game much more. If you're just an objective gamer looking to compare kart racers, then yeah, there's probably not a lot here for you. With that being said, we both gave it 7s. It is definitely above average in our eyes, and we did have enough fun with it to feel it was worth our time. When you combine all of our scores together, comes out to a 6.9, so it's pretty much right on the money with how we personally feel about this game. It's definitely not perfect, but it's worth your time, and if you can find it cheap enough, give it a try. You might find yourself enjoying it. When it comes to the beer pairing, we're going to stick with a brewery out of Colorado, and we're going with the Great Divide Brewing Company's Fresh Hop Pale Ale. Listen, you want a beer that's kind of strong, but it's not going to get you too drunk, because you're probably going to be taking a fair amount of sips in between levels and while you're selecting shit, and this is a pretty good beer. Coming in at 6.1%, there's a lot of floral and pine and mostly citrusy notes with this beer. So, we enjoyed it, and I think it'll go nicely with this game. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.